In this example, we will be setting up CIFS shares. I will set up two shares. One is a normal share and the other one is a home directory share for user access. Before we set up the share, I'll step you through some of the options with regards to the CIFS server. To look at the CIFS server settings, move to the CIFS area of NAS services and go to Global Settings. The main areas of interest here are around the clustering mode as well as the security mode. So the clustering mode in this release, which is the 5.6 release for the N8300, is both normal and cluster. The normal clustering mode essentially allows for a share to be presented off a single IP. If a connection comes in from a different virtual IP, it will actually be redirected to the originating virtual IP. This causes some traffic overhead and messaging overhead. The clustering mode leverages the CTDB technology, and this allows for all shares to be presented out of all virtual IPs. This allows for much greater performance and much less messaging. On the security side, there is three basic modes. There is user, domain, and Active Directory. For most environments, you will tend to get user and Active Directory used. For the time being, I will use the user security mode, but I will also change over to the Active Directory to show you how to do that in a later demo. At present, I'm going to set this clustering mode to cluster. To do that, simply select cluster and hit OK. This will require a downtime for the CIFS service whilst the change is taking place. And that has been changed successfully. At this point, we can start the CIFS server. To do that, go to the CIFS service, and select Enable. That has been completed successfully. You can see that the status of the CIFS server is online. At this point, we can share out file systems through CIFS. To do that, move to the File System section of the NAS drop-down and go to Share. At this point, we're just going to create a normal CIFS share, not a home dir share. To do that, we'll go to Create CIFS Normal. We'll select the share name, docstore. We'll give it a name, and this is the name that when you access the share from your Windows machine, you will access it. We're going to call it docstore as well. You can call it whatever you'd like. The options down the bottom here, you can change it to whatever you need. For this, we're going to change it from read-only to read-write. To change that, select the Modify button and move the read-write option from read-only to read-write. You can change the owner and the group. All of those elements are documented in the FileStore documentation. At this point, I'll click OK. And that's been successfully created. At this point, we can test the share. The best way to test the share is from your Windows machine. I'm going to try and connect to that share. Using the domain name of cifs.filestore.symantec.com, which is mapped to all of the virtual IPs inside of the FileStore NAS, it'll allow me to access the share. You can see that we've got the docstore share, which is visible. If I click on this, it'll ask me to log in. I've created a couple of local users already. Now that we're in this directory, I'm going to copy a file across. Returning to the FileStore ISM, we'll now share out a directory as a home directory. To set up a home directory share, move to the NAS Services and File Systems section and select Share. At this point, select Manage CIFS Home DIR. Here you can add in a file system that's going to be used as the home directory. We're going to leverage the home dir directory. We need to stop and start the CIFS daemon to make sure that this is put into place. To stop and start the daemon, move to NAS Services and CIFS and hit CIFS Service and select Disable. That's been successfully disabled, and then re-enable it. And that's been successfully re-enabled. At this point we should be able to log on as a user to get to a home directory. And presently I'm logged on as Shane Watson. There we go. So that's essentially how CIFS shares work, and clustered CIFS as well.